Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about I guess what's been going on for me in the last week, I would say. Basically, there's a couple of things and there's a few layers to it to get to the point, but sometimes when I read the Bible, and I'm sure other people can relate, I'd read of what the disciples did and think about how they really followed Jesus and gave up so much, and just comparing that to myself and what I'm doing. And I realized I still definitely have a fear of man, and I realized that I'm definitely still like very worldly. Yeah, I just now have had the revelation that there are just layers. There are layers to that, and I've just peeled off a layer of worldliness and finding the deeper meaning of what it is to actually follow Jesus. I feel like I'm not doing what I want to do, or I feel like I'm not where I want to be with God when I look at these great people of faith and their stories. And anyway, so I didn't really do anything about that, and I did what I could. I think that my workplace, for me, is the most intimidating to share my faith. And I remember the start of the year, I prayed to God, and that was like one of my New Year's resolutions, that I would lose my fear of man. And I know that God, at the start of the year, also told me that this is the year where I'm going to hand out Bibles. And it's amazing, like, reflecting and seeing how that's come true. I can't remember how he told me. I wish I wrote it down. I'm sure I wrote it down in one of my journals. But yeah, at the start of the year, it was just so clear to me that God wanted me this year to hand out Bibles. Like, that was the mission. And I ended up buying Bibles because of that. And I haven't handed out any Bibles to strangers. Like, I still have Bibles that I bought at the start of the year. And so I've just been feeling, a bit disappointed in myself that now we're at the end of the year and I still have quite a fear of man. And yeah, like, I don't, also the whole crisis of me nearly turning 30. So in a year from now, I'll be 30. And I've just had a mini mental crisis about what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? Where's my husband? Where's my house? Like, when is that going to happen? Is it ever going to happen? Because, the state of the world, and then also some health issues that I've been facing. I'm like, oh, how is this going to happen? And then just thinking about all the worst case scenarios and trying to be at peace with that. And I know it's just fear and worry and doubt, and none of that lines up with God's will for my life or how God wants me to think and feel. And I know that, but it's easier said than done. So I know that you're not supposed to compare yourself to anyone else. With even non-Christians would say that. Yeah, basically those thoughts combined. So thinking about what I want to do for God, feeling confused and stressed about where I feel like I should be at in the world, in life. And another thing happened that really, I guess, triggered me, if you want to use that word, to really spend some time alone. And that's helped me. That's where God gave me that revelation of what I should be doing with my life. So it was sort of like a negative event in a way. I'll tell you, I don't want to say anything bad about anyone in particular. Basically, that night, was a situation where everyone in the room were proclaimed Christians, and yet there is such a clear division of the half that wants to actively pursue God and the other half that it feels like it's just routine and a bit of apathy. And also, if you talk about the end times, then it's an issue for some reason, even though it's in the Bible. And we should have so much excitement and joy about that because that's Jesus returning. But it's like there's a spirit of resentment about it for some reason from that side. And the night just didn't end well for me because as I was sharing, it was a devotional time and it was my turn to share that night. So I grabbed my devotional book, picked the date of the day that it actually was, and it was just a normal devotional book, but it just so happened that that date, it was talking about the return of Jesus and God's wrath, and it was talking about Noah's flood and then saying our ark is Jesus and we need to be safe in him. So like, are you safe in him? And I just felt it was okay at the start, but then and this only goes for 10 minutes, And then I just felt like people looking over my shoulder at the TV in the background and I asked a question to engage them to how do you feel about that? And straight up an answer I got was oh, well, I'm not shaking in my boots. And I couldn't help myself. I said just straight away as a knee-jerk reaction, I said, wow. Because I thought to myself, aren't we all Christians? And what is going on here? Why? I just felt in that moment, what am I wasting my time with? And I feel like it's pearls to swine, not to be mean, but I'm expressing how I felt in that moment because that was just the cherry on the cake of, I guess, a bigger picture. Like I said, it's always there, but it's sort of just whatever. No one really cares. It's just whatever. But how can it be that you say you're a Christian? I've invited them, especially one of them, to my church, and they've just refused to come to my church, even though I've been to their church. And then, if I try and engage and say, what do you think about that? Then it turns into a massive issue. And it just ended so sour that night. I said, I felt like this is such a precious message. And it just feels like there's just apathy, and the atmosphere is you people just can't wait for it to be over. And I'm sharing this because I want anyone who's not Christian, I want you to realize that just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you're a Christian, if that makes any sense. And just because, and also just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that now your life is going to be so great and it's just peace, love and joy every day. It's not especially, I mean, sometimes the battle even gets worse. Like Jesus said, there's going to be division. Well, he said he came to bring division, but that doesn't mean he wants you to be divided. It just means that there is a division is going to happen if you truly follow him. It's like the goat and the sheep, there's going to be a division, and it's just what it is. So then I went downstairs after that devotion, which is where I live, and I was just so downcast, and the verse that just came up in my head straight away was, he who does the will of my Father, the same is my mother, brother, and sister. And that was Jesus talking. And I just thought, yes, I'm not gonna, I don't want to be extra hurt now because I think, oh, it's family. And you have a heart, obviously, more for the people you love. And that's why you want them to wake up and you want them to have a good relationship with Jesus, because you want to be with them in heaven and you want the best for them. And that's why I think sometimes, we can be, as Christians, a little bit more pushy about God to the people we love. And it's just most of the time not a good way to go about it, but you almost can't help it because of your love for that person. But the thing is, yeah, it's not up to us to force them into a certain behavior or into a certain decision. All we can do is share the gospel, be light and be salt in the earth. Put your lamp on a table so that your light, everyone can see it. So yeah, don't hide it. But like Jesus said, where was it? I wrote this down too. Luke 9 verse 5, and whosoever will not receive you when you go out of that city, shake off the very dust from your feet as a testimony against them. So if people don't want to receive the gospel, or the truth, gospel is the truth, but you know what I mean, shake the dust off your feet. So I know that I want to shift my mindset to not cling on to the things of this world that I was worrying about, like, who's my future husband and when's that going to happen, and where am I going to live, what's my house going to be, like, how am I going to afford that, where should I go, like, what about my career? Should I get more training so that I can go into my own business and like branch off into different things, like, and I just feel uneasy about that, as in I don't want to spend more time focusing on career, because I just feel like that's a waste of time. That's how I feel, even though I love my job, I love my line of work, and I would have enjoyed having my own business, but for many reasons, I've just come to the point of I would rather be poor and do God's work than to chase this dream, and it's not even a dream, but this idea that I think will make me happy, and that I think would make me feel content, or like I've made it, or like I'm good enough now, like, because that's the thing, like, society pressures you, like, what does your life look like for yourself and to other people, like, have I made it now, like by the age of 30, 40, 50, 60, like, do I have enough stuff to show for my life here on earth? Do I have enough qualifications to show? Do I have a beautiful spouse and children to show? Like, who are you trying to impress? If that's what you truly want, great, but is that also your idol? It's good. All of these things are good gifts from God if he blesses you with it. Yes, it's not bad to have any of that. That's not what I'm saying, but don't make that your heart's aching desire. Don't let it get you down if that's not what you've got, because what we need to put our desire needs to be to know God and to serve him. And that's what I want to do. No matter what it looks like, even if I end up at a different job, if I end up doing something that I've never done before, or that I don't really want to do, maybe I'm supposed to do that for a short time to preach the gospel to those people, to be light and salt to those people. That's just an example. Same thing with where you live, Don't look at your house as it's yours, like this is my house, like, because I can easily imagine how it would feel, like spending all your life working and then paying off this house, that your heart is in this house. Maybe you made memories in that house as well. Sure, you have an attachment, but it's not your house. Like, this house can get burnt up in a fire. This house can get swept away in a flood. And this house is temporary. This house isn't... Just don't be so attached to the things of this world, because that's the mindset that Jesus tells us to have, is our family are the children of God, that our heavenly family. Like, set your mind on things above, like seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Like, he wants to bless you, and he has so much that he wants to give you. But for this journey here on earth, from the time we're born to the time we die, or when Jesus comes back, whatever happens first, we have a journey to complete, and not to be distracted by the distractions of this world. What really matters is pursuing God, loving your neighbor, sharing the gospel with other people who are perishing around us, and that's it. It's not about being happy or about being successful in the world. That's not what this life is about. As much as the world tries to tell you that, the world tries to tell you it's about your happiness, and it's about pleasure. Like, it's just about, you only live once, so you may as well do that. Like, or like, people have these sayings like, yeah, YOLO, like, you only live once, therefore it's okay, just do it. Even if it's kind of bad or not good for you, just do it. It's like, no, you don't only live once. Yeah, maybe you do, if you want to get deep about it, but don't waste this chance. Don't waste this opportunity of life being distracted by the things of this world that are just going to pass away. I think you know what I'm getting at. I'm just repeating myself now, but you know what I mean, right? So what else did I write? Yes, and the world passeth away and the lust thereof, but he that doeth the will of God abideth forever. 1 John 2, verse 17. If you start compromising, that's when that's sort of your red flag for yourself, to whether you are in a lukewarm or a hot or cold state with your relationship with God. So the key is really about willingness, have a willing heart. So Jesus said to his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? So the key verse there is, for whosoever will save his life. So if you're going to cling onto your worldly life, then you'll lose it. And whosoever will lose your worldly life for Jesus' sake, you're going to find it. And again, there's that liberty, that freedom, that burden removed if you give control over to God and say, not my will, but yours be done, and to obey him. It's funny, it doesn't make sense. Like, to any person of the world, like, that makes no sense. The more obedient you are, the more you are sacrificing yourself, the more freedom you have. But I know it sounds like it doesn't make sense at all, but it does. Like, if you experience that revelation, and if you actually commit yourself to that, you feel the freedom. Like, you just feel the absolute freedom of having no care, no worry about your life, like just being so happy to be here and to serve God, to do his will. there is so much freedom in that. That is where freedom and joy is. That is the joy of the Lord. Like, so many things in the Bible make sense. The more you commit to God, the more you get out of that lukewarm state, the Bible makes way more sense. And I'm not saying that I'm there, like, but I'm getting there. I'm trying to peel it off these layers of deception and the world. And I thank God for seeing that I'm willing, and He is showing me, like, to those who want more, more will be given. Like, knock and the door shall be opened, right? Like, if you don't really want the truth, if you don't really want to follow God, really, God knows your heart and He knows your mind, and He can see if you don't really want to. He's not really going to tell you more. He's not going to give you more. He's not going to reveal Himself more to you. If you have a half heart about it, or if you don't really care, then He's not. But for those who want more, more will be given. So yeah, it's not worth obsessing over the things that aren't going to last. So yeah, don't get me wrong. Of course, you have to work to earn a living. Jesus wants us to be responsible. God blesses people through finances as well. He blesses people through giving them housing, families, good jobs, everything. That is a blessing from God. But obsessing over it and putting those things before God, that's where the compromise comes in, and that's what separates the goats from the sheep. The lukewarm Christian and the hot Christian. God wants us to be responsible, take care of your family, earn a living if you can. Speaking about jobs, I had this fear of man, and that includes for me like a fear of maybe losing my job if I speak too much about God, about Jesus. And this fear hasn't stemmed from a real experience in my past or my present. It's just a made up fear that I've imagined. And yeah, God, like I said, or I don't know if I have said it, at the start of the year, I said to God, this year I want to lose my fear of man. And it's been a real struggle for me to do that. And last month I went back to visit Melbourne, just for a little holiday, and I took a whole bag of gospel tracts with me that I was planning to hand out as a challenge to myself. Because I've been too scared to do it here where I live, because it's a smaller beach town, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll have more courage in the city where there's just like streams of people and no one knows me and whatnot. So, and then when I was spending time with my family, I didn't take the time to do it. In fact, I was so in the world, like I was more conscious probably about doing shopping and stuff like that than remembering that bag of tracts that I wanted to hand out. And I just didn't have the courage. And it took for my family to leave and me to spend time there by myself to get myself to do it. And I ended up going to Flinders Street Station, it was really busy, and got myself, when I walked from A to B, I was like, okay, I need to hand out as much of these as possible. And I did. I didn't empty the whole bag. I still brought some home, but I was just so thankful to God that He helped me, and proud of myself too. Not proud, but proud that yes, good. I took that step of getting out of my comfort zone, and for the first time in years, I used to hand out tracts a little bit back in the day when I was a Christian a long time ago. And so I haven't done that since then. And I've had these tracts, like when I became a Christian a year and a half ago, I bought a whole bunch, like I've got stacks of them. And I've only started handing them out, like, yeah, basically last month. So I'm excited. Like, that was something, right? It's a step, like it's a stepping stone. And yes, the thing is, yeah, we just have to be willing and we have to be obedient, and God will help us. Like, for example, the Australian Christian Lobby, Australian political party here, they wanted volunteers to go and do a letterbox drop of the Gospel of John in your local area. Like, you just sign up as a volunteer, and I think our town got 6,000 or more Gospels. And, you know, I was kind of disappointed to go to the meeting before it started to see what a small amount of Christians gathered to volunteer for that. Because I believe, like, as a Christian, like, yeah, you can't escape politics. Like, we have to surely at least support your Christian party, you know, because I don't know about the country that you guys are in, but like, if you go to the Australian Christian Lobby's website, like, they are really active and they're doing so much good. They're doing so much for God. Like, their leader, like, he's a great guy, a great pastor, and really inspiring. And there's always, like, petitions that you can sign. They always show all the issues, like how the country's cracking down on Christians. Yeah, I mean, if I go to the website, I don't know if I've got it up here somewhere, but I won't look for it now, otherwise I'll get distracted. But the point is, get involved, you know, because if I didn't sign up to be a volunteer like months ago, and I haven't done anything for them since then because they haven't had anything for us or for me to do in this area, but now they did. And yeah, it's through that email and through our church, other Christians that were interested and involved, that we banded together and said, okay, we're gonna do this. And there just weren't many Christians out of our entire, like, city, town. If I think about all the churches that are there were maybe like 30 people altogether that volunteered. 30 Christians volunteered to do this. Out of how many churches that are in this town and surrounding. It's just, like, and I can't judge because, you know, I used to be not doing this, so I can't judge, but it's just, yeah. Anyway, it's beautiful though. Like, I'll show you guys. Grace and Truth. It's the Gospel of John, so it's just a little booklet of the Gospel of John. And yeah, you basically just go around, you get designated an area close to your home of, say, about 200 houses, and just drop it in their letterbox, and that's it. So that in itself is something. You know, you don't always have to, if you're scared of people, like, take a baby steps. You don't have to talk like me. I just do a letterbox drop. That opportunity was presented to us, and like, handing out tracts. These are the tracts I handed out in Melbourne. For those of you who don't recognize that, it's by Chick Publications, and you can find that at www.chick.com, and they have heaps of different comic book gospel tracts, each with, like, slightly different stories, but then they basically, it all comes down to the gospel message. If you aren't familiar with them and you'd like to know more, just ask me in the comments and I'll tell you which titles I like best, because there's quite a few to sift through. But read them all for yourself and make your own decision. But if you want a shortcut, ask me in the comments and I'll let you know which ones are my favorite. And they've also got these cheap good news, like Gospel of John and the Book of Romans as well. And these, like, you know, it's all really affordable. But like, say something like that, you might only give to someone who you're engaging in a conversation with and they seem to be curious, then you can give them that. Like, I wouldn't, it's up to you. Just do what God leads you to do. Don't listen to me. I was gonna say I wouldn't give that to someone without saying anything, just like, there you go, have a good day. Maybe you should do that, I don't know, but I'd rather do that with one of these and give that to someone. Or if you are interested in buying like little Bibles to hand out, give it to someone that is actually curious, that you think might read it. Because at the end of the day, like, these are coming out of that Christian party's pocket, or from the people who donate to their pocket, I'm sure. But things like this is coming out of your own pocket, you know. So, but everyone deserves to receive the gospel. Like, we can't pick and choose who deserves to hear it, who not. Everyone. The person that you're most scared of, like, which you shouldn't be scared of because you shouldn't fear man. But I mean, as an example, like, pick someone that you're most intimidated to speak to about the gospel. Like, they need to hear the gospel, and you might be the only person that's ever going to tell them. Or you might be the only person that they're ever going to listen to. So don't be scared of people, and don't be scared of their opinion. And that's why we need to love our neighbor as ourselves. Like, and if we love them enough, and if we love God enough, and if our mind is set on the kingdom rather than on this world, then you know, we won't discriminate against like someone we're intimidated by and someone who's easy. Like, everyone needs to hear the gospel equally. Yeah, regardless of if it makes you uncomfortable or them uncomfortable. Like I said, it's not your job to convert them, but it is our job to share it and be the light and be salt. So I wanted to show you guys also, like, well, firstly I wanted to say, you know, persecution, don't be scared. Like the Bible says, where is that verse? Where it says, don't be scared of what man can do to you, and don't fear man, but rather fear God, basically. Like, because man can only kill the body if it comes to it. Like, what's the worst they could do? They can kill you. They can, like, physically kill you. That's the worst they can do. And that's just, all right then, you know. But fear rather God, who can destroy both the body and soul in hell. Because, so basically, man can't do anything to your soul. Man can do what they want to your body. That's your flesh. It's going to pass away anyway. Like, they can't have any impact on your eternity, on your relationship with God, on your faith, on your soul, like, on your eternal destination for your soul. That, they can't do anything. They can't kill you, okay? They can't kill your soul. They can kill your body, that's whatever. So don't fear that. We have to lose our fear of death. And we can lose that fear of death by reading the Bible, seeing what heaven is going to be like having a close relationship to God. To say, like Paul did, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Because if we die, we're going to be with Christ. And so for us to die is gain. That's the kind of mindset. If we're peeling off the layers of reality of what it actually means to follow Jesus, that is, to live is Christ and to die is gain. That's the life. That's the mindset. So don't fear man, and don't be clinging on to and attached to this world. I want to show you guys this map that I've had on my fridge for the whole year from Voice of the Martyrs. It's just all the persecuted, like the heavily persecuted countries in the world, and we need to pray for them. But we need to think as well, even for us who aren't that heavily persecuted unto death, you know, the way the world is going, like times and laws are changing, and it's not in favor of Christianity. And I'm not going to go into details about that because maybe that can be a separate video. But a lot of that is happening silently in the background and people aren't really thinking about it or aware of it. But look at the laws that are changing, and it is becoming increasingly anti-Christian, or silencing Christians anyway. The thing is, how can you say you're going to die for something if you're not even living for it? If we aren't choosing Jesus, God, above ourselves today, how are we going to offer up our physical life for him if it comes down to that decision? We won't. That's the short answer, because if we can't even put him first now, how can we die for him? That, I don't think, when push comes to shove and you're in that moment of fear and adrenaline, that you will die for him. And that's why I always say in my videos, don't leave your decision to follow Jesus until the last minute when you think you see the Antichrist revealed or when you see the mark of the beast, because that's too late. Like, you are playing with fire big time, because it takes a build-up of a relationship with God to get to the point where you love him that deeply, you know him and you follow him that deeply that you are willing to give up your life and to say to live is Christ and to die is gain. So don't leave it till the last second, because that is too risky. Yeah, so anyway, in terms of sharing the gospel, I want to lose my fear of man. God told me at the start of the year that this is the year I'm going to hand out Bibles, and that has kind of just happened almost naturally. It was almost like, rather than a command, it was more like a prophecy, because I ended up buying a few Bibles when I heard God saying to me, this year I'm going to hand out Bibles. And the thing is, like, I still have heaps of those Bibles that I didn't hand out. But then again, I've handed out these booklets, the Gospels of John. That's why I say I feel like it was just a prophecy, really. And also I've given, I think, all of my close friends now, or not all of them, most of them, a Bible. And just to top it off, I've decided 2 days ago that I'm going to give all of my colleagues at work a Bible for Christmas. Even though I don't believe in the traditional Christmas celebration, I'm going to gift them a Bible each, and I don't care what jokes they're going to make about it when they get home or amongst each other, or what they're going to say or do or what. I don't care. Like, none of that matters. Like, what matters is that I love them, and I don't want to get to heaven. Like, this is the burden that is on me, that I've been feeling at work. It's like, I don't want to get to heaven and then them be in hell, and then I know that I've spent 4 days a week around them and I never shared much. I just kept it to myself. So I'm going to give them the entire Bible, not just a gospel, not just the New Testament. I'm going to give them the entire Bible, and I'm even going to put in like little, like maybe sticky notes or something, I haven't figured it out yet, on certain pages and stuff, to give them a bit of a shortcut of what I think is important or helpful. So then, they'll get a Bible. This is the Bible I'm going to give them. Nice white Bible. Words of Jesus in red. Got a map in the back. And it's really affordable. I think it's about $15 or $16 per Bible. So they'll get that. They'll get a bookmark. And then I'll just put, like I said, little notes, not like massive notes, but just references and like maybe some placeholders in the chapters that I recommend to get into, just to get them started or to make it interesting, because it's pretty intimidating if you're not a Christian and you've never read the Bible to just be like, oh cool, the first book of Kings, okay, now King David was old and stricken in years, and then you think, nah, I'll get to it later. That's what I would be like. But rather, if you see, like, let's use this thing, like, if you get a Bible and it's like, oh, cool, okay, what's that? Oh, there's a note like, okay, so 2 Chronicles, that verse, that, okay, yeah, right. And here's another one, let's see what that one says. That. So sometimes it doesn't take much from our side, but just to put in like a little bit of effort goes a long way. And then that way, for me personally, I feel like I don't feel guilty and I don't feel like I'm just keeping my faith to myself. Like I don't have to be obnoxious about it at work and constantly make a point of talking about it. We can just go on with our day. Obviously, I'm open to talking about it, but I'm not going to shove it down anyone's throat. Instead, I'll just give them a Bible and just continue to shine my light, and that's it. Because, that's all you need to do. So anyway, so I just want to share with you guys like just the final key of this video is Jesus said to his disciples, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? And if this whole video could have a title, which I'm not going to make the title, but just this verse, for whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. And that is it. Like, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything anymore. I don't fear that I'm going to lack in anything, because whatever God has for me in this life, on this earth, and whatever he has for me as my reward in heaven, like that is what I want. So that verse is saying, if you want to follow Jesus, deny yourself and go after him. And that is how you find your life in Christ. So there are other practical tips like fasting, praying. Fasting is where you learn to deny yourself and to deny your flesh, have discipline, hear from God. I could make another fasting video. The thing is, I'm just going to become more transparent with you guys on my journey, like even my weaknesses, because, I'm still learning. I've been really I've repented, a year and a half ago, after a life of like 10 years of the New Age and witchcraft. So, I'm being transparent and I'm on this journey with you. So anyway, fasting, praying, reading the Bible more seriously, set up a plan for yourself if that helps you on just being more disciplined on how you can get to know God more and to serve God more. And don't worry about what people think about you or their opinions. Just be that city on the hill where everyone can see your light. And don't hide it. Don't suppress it for anyone. Don't compromise it for anything. So if you watched until now, great, thank you. I hope you got something out of that as well, and that it edified you in some way. And anyway, I hope you guys are doing well, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.